Hi guys, it's Mr. Scotty Pie here, and today I am talking about the Christopher Eccleston autobiography. I Love the Bones of You, My Father and the Making of Me. As you can see, I do have a signed copy which I got from Waterstones. Uh, there's the autograph of Christopher Eccleston. So yeah, as I said, this is the autobiography of the actor Christopher Eccleston. Notable roles: Doctor Who obviously played the Ninth Doctor, but he's also in Thor: The Dark World, other classic shows such as My Friends in the North. Um, Basically a staple of British television. Never really hit the Hollywood scene, but he does explain why that was in this book, which is quite interesting. But yeah, the premise of the book is the general theme of it is talking about his father, obviously, hence the subtitle "My Father and the Making of Me," um, because that's someone who he worshipped as a man and person he perceives as the person who shaped who he is and his whole life, for good and for bad, and obviously as he started, I love the bones of you. He just loves his dad through the thick and the thin, and he talks about that in great detail. The first like 2 or 3 chapter is basically the setup of his dad's life, bit of a rundown of that, and that progresses throughout the whole book as well. But going from there, it does move more into his career and his life. His autobiography is more based around, I'd say, more of his career than his personal life. He does touch on his kids quite a lot, but it doesn't really talk about personal relationships such as marriages. He touches on, he explains, because a big part of it is one of his divorces, but he doesn't really talk about meeting them or their time together. It's more about his career and obviously his time with his father, and a lot about his mother as well. This is a book that I'm a big Christopher Eccleston fan, obviously mainly for Doctor Who. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, and obviously I want to get the signed editions. I thought I'd pick it up. I had my reservations if what the book was going to be like, I guess, but I found it instantly gripping. It's to use a common phrase, it's a page turner. It's really well written. It's interesting. It's got some funny moments in there, some one-off lines that made me chuckle. But it's also interesting. It's also quite dark at times because he does delve into his mental illnesses, which he's never talked about openly before. His anorexia, his depression, which he did end up getting put into. He put himself into a mental hospital to get himself in order, I guess the word maybe. Which is really interesting. There's some quite sad parts where he talks about his dad's fall into dementia, which for someone who has experienced that in their life was at times quite hard to read, because I related to it a lot. A lot of you saying I could put that on people that I know who's had that and suffered with that for a while, and it was sometimes actually had to put the book down because it was hitting home a bit too close. But at the same time, I loved it for that, because it was open, it was honest, and it felt real. But then he talked about his career, which was fantastic. There was some bits, as a bit of a nerd, I was hoping he touched on more. The Doctor Who, the reason he only did one series, I know there was a bit of a bust up with the BBC. He touched on it for about one line, but I was hoping to kind of understand his side of that story, but he never really did, which I was a bit gutted about. But I understand why he didn't, because obviously he doesn't want to burn bridges more than they already are. And also with Thor: The Dark World, I'm a big, massive Marvel fan. I know this is just me on the gossip, really. It's nothing that like, oh no, what's the point of reading the book? I just wanted the juicy gossip. But I know he hated filming that role. And I was hoping to hear the behind the scenes bits of that and hear him just having a little right old moan about that. But that whole film gets literally a whimsical mention as he talks about, I got a phone call when I was filming For the Dark World, and that's it. That's all you'll ever hear from that film. So I'm not sure if he hated it so much, or he's just like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to burn the bridges with Hollywood. Because he does say all about Hollywood, how he's tried to break Hollywood, but he said because of his, I'm not taking anything from nobody, you can't push me around, I'm not just an actor, I'm a man, I'm a human being. Hollywood didn't want that, which was quite interesting. But he said he also like maybe I messed up making the millions, but at the same time I'm proud of who I am as a person, and I'm glad I stood up for myself. So it's fully respectable. But I think someone, obviously I'm English and I know who Christopher Eccleston, he on English television he's very well respected over here. If you know Christopher Eccleston in it, you know it's going to be a very gritty and interesting drama with high caliber. It's a shame that obviously he couldn't transfer that and obviously go on to win the Oscars, which I think if he's put in the right movie roles, he would be regarded as one of the world's finest actors, in my opinion, because I hold him that high regard as an actor. I said it's really interesting book, start to finish. The photos, the only thing I was a bit gutty with the photos are because it's all photos of television and film roles. But with this being so much about the love of him and his father, I was hoping for some more pictures of him and his father, to be fair. But you don't really get that. I do absolutely love this photo of him as Macbeth. He talks about that role, like it's a role that meant a lot to him by the sounds of it. But yeah, that photo's gorgeous. But I was hoping for some more photos of him and his father and his family, but you get none of it at all. You get a few at the back, him as a kid with his dad, and him as in the later years with his dad. That's all you get, which is a bit of a shame because I know it paints the picture of who his father and his family was, but I'd like to actually know what they look like so I can, as I'm reading it, I can see their faces. But as I said, these are just nitpicks. It's a book that I thoroughly enjoyed. I read it quite quickly because I didn't want to put it down because I was really interested to know where I got to. As a Doctor Who fan, if you're reading this for that reason, he has 3 chapters on Doctor Who. 2 chapters are more conversations with his kids when he recently rewatched Doctor Who with them, and they're quite funny conversations. He's got trying to explain the whole Doctor Who universe to them, to someone who I think they're under 10. So they're asking like questions that even he didn't know the answer to, and he had to try and blag his way through, which is quite funny. But then there's one whole chapter about how he got the role, working on the show, which, as a Doctor Who fan, I really enjoyed that chapter. I think he knew that a lot of people were going to come to this book through their love of Doctor Who, so he felt like he didn't want to spend too much time on it because he had such an interesting body of work, but he knew he had to give us Doctor Who fans something to feast at, if you will, which was really interesting, and I really enjoyed that. But that's what I went to the book with, wanting to, as a big Doctor Who fan, but it gave me such a massive insight into his body of work, and I have watched other things with him in and always respected him, but after reading this, I have so much more respect for him, not just as an actor, but as a man. The things he has gone through, his anorexia, which he's suffered with his entire life and still has to keep in the back of his mind to this day. And then his mental issues he's had, which was really interesting. In fact, I never even knew anything about it. Same with his anorexia. It shows that what a strong human being he is. And it's fantastic. I went to this book with a perception of Christopher Eccleston as a bit of an uptight, bit of a grouch maybe, and bit of standoffish. I have met Christopher Eccleston and he wasn't like that at all, but that was at a convention. I know people are different at conventions because they're on fan meeting mode, but reading the book, I don't think he was on fan meeting mode when I met him. I think that was the real Christopher Eccleston. I think he's a nice man. I don't think he's standoffish unless you upset him. And if you upset him, then you're going to see the wrong side of him. And I think that's absolutely fine as a human being. If you start something, don't expect that person to be nice to you. And that's the kind of person I think Christopher Eccleston is. And I greatly respect that. And I respect him more as a human being after reading this book. I'm a bigger fan of his work because I know the behind the scenes stuff and what he was going through as he was working on those projects now. And as I said, as a human being, I respect him 10 times more. If you're a Doctor Who fan, I'd recommend reading this book. Because as I said, you get about 3 chapters of Doctor Who. The 2 with his kids are very funny and are definitely worth a good read. And the one solid chapter about working on Doctor Who is very interesting. If you're a Christopher Eccleston fan, this is a must read. Even if you're a passing Christopher Eccleston fan, because he does touch on pretty much all of his work. Little things like Cracker and big roles in Gone in 60 Seconds, where the big movie he was in with Nicolas Cage, touches on that, which is quite a funny chapter. He talks about how much he didn't actually want the role, but he felt like he had to. His role in Heroes, he touches on everything, and he's honest. If he didn't like the role, he tells you, I didn't like doing this role, I did it for the money. Or if he did love it, he'll explain to you like why he loved it. It's really interesting. If you're just a biography fan, an autobiography fan, a biography fan, I'd recommend it as well. As I said, it's very interesting, it's very well written. And it's a different take on autobiography. I'm a big autobiography fan myself. And this is a different take where I've seen it through people try different perspectives to try and work a way through biography, not just like start, work, death, the standard. This is just me and my life in chronological order. Some people try different ways to tell a story, and I think the way he does it through his relationship with his father is quite an interesting take, and it works. It does really work, and it's very interesting. So yeah, and so as I said, this is a book I very much enjoyed, and it is a book I'd recommend to Doctor Who fans, non-Doctor Who fans, acting fans, Christopher Eccleston fans, biography fans. Give this one a go. And if you have read it and you plan to read it and you get it, let me know in the comments. I'd love to have a conversation. I am very active in the comments. I do try and respond as soon as I can, and I'd love to start a conversation with you. If you did enjoy this video, I'd really, really like it if you popped to liking a video, because that kind of shows YouTube that people like this kind of content, and it pushes me out into the algorithm, and more people might see this video. So I'd really appreciate that. And also, I do drop videos like this before. This is actually my second book review, and I do plan to do more. At the moment, I'm reading a new Hunger Games book, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It's quite a big book, so it might be a week or two, 3 weeks maybe, until I actually get a review for that out when I finish reading it. But that will be coming, and I will be dropping other random videos about random different subjects. And if you want to see anything particular from me as well, again, drop it in the comments, because video ideas are always very helpful. But drop me a subscribe, and I said I'll be dropping videos, book reviews, other reviews, random things. So yeah, drop me a subscribe, and I hope we can have some fun together, chatting, getting to know each other. That'd be fantastic. I hope you have a good day, evening, morning, night, whenever you're reading it, watching this video even, or when you're reading this. I hope it's a good one. It's been Mr. Scotty Pie. Thank you very much. Goodbye.